I'm not going to be talking to you about technical trading strategies or quantitative trading strategies. I leave that to the experts. I'm here to talk about my journey of becoming a trader and how in my pursuit of managing money for clients and navigating this challenging macroeconomic world, I don't see markets, but I listen to them. I still remember when I was in my second year BCom at NM College, my economics teacher came into class one day and started distributing our economics midterm answer papers. And suddenly she stopped at roll number 18. And she said, "Who's this roll number 18? I was shocked because I thought I'd done okay, but I was being singled out in this class of 104 and I had no idea why. When I said it was me, she immediately started shouting at me saying, "What rubbish handwriting, you know? You can't write on the line, you write above the line, below the line, under the line. And this drawing, this looks like a 5-year-old kid." My fear turned into embarrassment. And then she said the words that brought me tears. She said, "You've actually topped this class, but it took me 45 minutes to read your paper. And I'm warning you that in your university exams, no one's going to give you that much time. You'll fail." Well, economics was something I liked, but that was not my first love. My first love was physics. But when I was in school, my parents knew that I would lose my sight, and so they dissuaded me from taking engineering when I was doing my undergrad. Studies actually came second to me. As a kid, I was very active, and I was really, really keenly interested in sports, and I wanted to be a sports person. I loved cricket like every other Indian child, but I was also very practical and knew getting into the Indian cricket team was no mean feat. So I focused on my second love, that was tennis. I was really inspired by Andre Agassi, those long hair, the earrings, the bandana, the shaven chest, not Brooke Shields, but that awesome forehand actually. But by the time I was 10, I had already started losing sight. It was impossible for me to continue hoping to be a tennis player. I would run into people, walk on dogs on the street, fall somewhere. Things got really desperate. I was very, very unhappy, very sad, and the only question in my head was, why me? When I entered college, I had 6 friends. By the time I left college, I had 3. I was hiding from people and trying to navigate with this situation that I was given. In fact, things became so bad that during my final year university examination, I went to my parents and begged to them, "Please don't make me sit through this exam, I'm going to fail." But then the awesome parents I had gave me something very interesting back. They said, "Well, if you don't give your exams, you fail anyway, so why don't you give your exams and fail?" At that time, I also went to my spiritual master, Dr. Sri Balaji Tambe, and I told him about my predicament and how disturbed I was. And he told me 2 pieces of advice. He gave me 2 pieces of advice. One was, "Well, you've lost 1 out of 5 senses. You still have 4 of them, so please use them." And the second was, "You've come to me with a problem, but who's going to find the solution? Sit and find the solution to your own problem." Well, I've been very lucky, and I've had a beautiful life, thanks to my spiritual master and my loving family. I've had a wonderful life, but it's been full of challenges. It's been full of challenges, but I've had help from quarters that I would have never thought of. Somewhere randomly people have stepped up and helped me. And my life has been an interesting mix of spirituality and technology mixed together. Talking about BCom, I used to take accounting classes. And the way I would study accounting is when the professor would read out the questions and do the work on the board, I would be using the 3 simple accounting rules and putting the entries in my head on the left and the right. And that's exactly how my sister, who's a dermatologist, taught me accounting, where she would read the questions and all I would tell her is, this goes on the left, this goes on the right, whether it was the P&L statement or the balance sheet. I was very lucky that I was born in 1980. If I was born 5 years before or 10, 20 years before, I would have had to learn Braille. But as my eyesight deteriorated, technology improved. I still remember my mother would sit and painstakingly scan one page in 5 minutes into the computer, and then I would come back and start reading those books on my computer, actually, listening to them. Well, after my Guruji's advice, my master's advice, I took the exam, and I was sure I was going to fail, but I passed with distinction. As I said, miracles happen. When I got this BCom degree, I was at the top of the world, because obviously now there was no stigma in society. Nobody could, point fingers at me and say, couldn't even finish his undergrad, what a boy. But anyways, I had gone past that. But that joy was only there for 4 months. After that, I realized that I had done nothing. I needed to study more or take up a job somewhere. And I decided to pursue my interest for macroeconomics and financial markets and decided to give the entrance exam for an MBA program. At that time, I took entrance exams for NMIMS, and I was prepared but slightly nervous because this was my first exam after my last horrible experience. And it was a multiple choice exam with a writer, which I had not done before. I was all nervous but ready because I was ready to fight. And when I reached the examination, the exam conducting authority decided to abuse the rules and decided to not allow me my own writer. Instead, they put their own writer who knew little English, to whom I had no interaction with before. And my nervousness went skyrocketed. But then I had two choices. I could either crib, cringe, and worry, or I could just make use of what I had and try and give that exam. And I chose the latter. I gave the exam with a person who knew little English and to whom I had to explain how to explain math problems to me so that I could answer them. Anyways, once I entered the MBA program, I was really excited because this was the first time I was going to go to an institute without any friends, but make new ones. The first day I went with a lot of hope. I heard about all these amazing things we were going to learn and all these amazing professors that would teach us. But by the time I came back, I was very upset. I was upset because not a single soul spoke to me that day. And I thought it was the worst decision of my life. But then, as 2 years passed, I not only came second in my class, but I won the Best Student Award. And I think I remember those days with a lot of fondness. 3 things stand out through my MBA experience, actually. One is how I never got an internship. So my father had to actually approach someone and get me an internship in the HDFC Treasury. I really enjoyed those 2 months, and I will always be thankful to them for giving me a project that taught me a lot. The second thing was, me and a friend of mine wanted to go to ATMA